Assalamu alaikum. How's everybody doing today? I'm back with another story time to tell you a story about a couple that looked so perfect from the outside. Like, to anyone who knew them, like anyone who didn't spend a lot of time with them, live with them, or spend a lot of time with them, they would never know that this couple's household was so, like, the cruelty that was going on in this household, from the wife to the husband. So I know we commonly hear about husbands, not treating wives fairly in some areas and things like that. But this time, and we know these things can go either way. But this time, the wife mistreated the husband so badly. But like I said, looking from the outside in, you would have no idea, just because most people look at just material items like, oh, they have everything, they look healthy, they're well spoken, their children go to the best schools and all that. But let me tell you the story time about when I started spending more time just being friends with this person and catching up with them, like, from childhood and things like that, and being invited over to her house and me getting to see more and more and more. And at first, I would, like, when she would complain about things like within the relationship, I would kind of agree, because it just would seem normal. Like, it just seemed like the average thing that you would just agree with, like, yeah, okay, that's not right. So, like, why would he think that? Why would he say that? So, but the more time I started spending with them, I started seeing that actually she was the aggressor. She was the one angry. She was the one taking the household down. And the reason why is because he was not helpful. All he did was work. And not like he worked like overtime hours or anything like that. He went to his 9 to 5 and came home, but he was not helpful in any other area that you could think of, possibly even in life, not even in a relationship. Like let's take relationship off the table, let's take marriage off the table. Not even helpful, like, for normal things. Like, he's a person you can't brainstorm with him, because he's not going to talk. He doesn't know how to talk. I think I touched on this couple a little bit in another one of my story times. I can't remember. I'll go into a little bit more depth in this one. The more I started to, like, go to their house and, like, actually see the dynamics of how the household is, and not that I was, like, making comments or judgments on anything, I just started observing over time. She would, like, put him on punishments, and then he would listen to her punishments. Like, the strangest thing ever. Like, this was so strange to me. Like, if she told him to stay on one area of the house, like, for the rest of the day, like on his days off and stuff like that, he would. And then if he needed to come out for something, like, he would ask her permission, and she would tell him no, and he would stay. And I'm just like, this is really bad. And in a way, with him listening to such a ridiculous thing, like, stay in this room, or you're only allowed on, like, this corner of the house, it made her become more powerful in mistreating him, because he's listening. And I think now when I think about it, I think that he thought if he would, like, obey her, she would become nicer to him. But we know in real life, the nicer you are to a person who's mistreating you, the more they're going to mistreat you. It doesn't matter if you're related to them or not, they will mistreat you more and more and more. They get out of control. Although maybe there's some times here and there they will throw you some candy, but for the most part, they are cruel to you. That is kind of like how their relationship was. But I don't know if she ever really threw him any candy, besides things like buy his clothes, and then, like, on holidays, dress him up, and then, like, take family pictures and things like that. So maybe he thought, like, he was back in good with her at those points. But this relationship, this was not a marriage. This was awful. It was awful. Like, telling him when he could take a shower, when he couldn't take a shower, the size portions of food that he could eat. Then if she made the plate, she would put it on the floor for him while the family sat at the table and ate. And I would be sitting there like, why is this? Sometimes I would ask her, like, this is, no, I would make a comment because I was awkward and I didn't know, it felt awkward, I didn't know what to say. So I would be like, this is not necessary. He does not need to be on the floor over there eating. Why are you doing that? And then she would, like, laugh it off. and say like, he deserves it because whatever her reason was. And then as it would progress, I'm just like, how, like, I would question, like, in myself, how do you address something like this? These are adults in their relationship, and I don't get in relationships. Like, so I remember at times I would like say, well, maybe let's go to your house, because I did not want to see or partake in any of it. I felt guilty when I would leave with just her mistreating him the way that he did, because his mind, he was robotic, kind of. um, I don't know how to describe it. I'm not gonna label him with, really, I don't want to label him with like a he had this or he had that, but he was like very stiff. So stiff in his movements, the kind of person who, when you talk to them, they don't look at you. He would try to be as attentive. What is the word? He would try to pay attention as much as he could, but he was that kind of person who, it almost reminded you of a very shy adult. Um, but I believe he became more and more that way over time. He probably was already that way, but over time, it seems like he became that way even more, just withdrawn and staying to himself, because he was being abused, and he was being abused because his mind. I think I told you about this couple before. Like, remember I said his elevator did not go all the way up to the top? That's the couple I'm talking about. Um, but I'm talking about them again just because I want to tell you something at the end of the story time. Um, she would put little toxins in his food, not poison, like trying to take his life, not like that, but like put little dirty things in his food, and I'd be like, this is such cruelty. Like, you can't do that. Like, I'm not gonna watch you do that. And what's so funny? Sometimes she would back off a little bit because she knew after a while that I'm gonna make a comment like, why are you doing this? And it's always her reasons is like, he's not helpful, he doesn't care about me as a person. Like, and when I say he's not helpful, like I said before, the kind of person who just goes to their 9 to 5, like, and that's it. You're not, if you have, like, she paid the bills on her own. She used, of course, some of his money. There were a couple that live in the house, but she made more money than him. Not that that really means a whole lot, but I'm saying that to say that she purchases the cars, purchases the house, purchases the property, purchases everything, makes all the decisions, even for just not reserving, like planning out a vacation, like, but like without any ideas or any help for him. He would just like come along like he's the puppy or something. And over time, that grew on her, and she began to mistreat him. She began to trash his name in the streets. And then other people, I don't know if other people would mistreat him, but they became more like they were thinking him, if you're from a community, like, if you think that there's a man who's not treating his family nice, or the way that he's supposed to, he will get invited to less and less less and less social gatherings and things like that. um, so his life became so, she made his life so miserable, he became like physically in pain. And his family told him, like, you need to see a doctor. What's going on? Of course, the doctors, they weren't able to tell him like anything. But he was becoming physically in pain because of the emotional pain that he was going through, which, this is just my opinion, I feel like since he was like stiff and rigid the way he was, he probably couldn't really loosen up to be how she needed him to be. And that was pretty much just like a regular person. um because even if he was regular, I feel like even if she had to handle the majority of the finances, even if he was like regular, I feel like maybe she wouldn't have treated him so badly, because he was just like a regular person. But he was not. Like, he didn't really understand social cues too much, but he was able to hold a job. One of those people who, they show up, they're silent at work, they do their job, and they go home. One of those people that are really not in the manager's hair. There's no reason to fire him, like he's not doing anything against policies and things like that. There are people in the work world that are like that. They're pretty much to themselves, and they go about their business. So they would stay at $13 an hour forever. They would never apply to move up in line at work, or like, he was that kind of person. So that's what I mean, like, he wasn't really even like a regular person. So I forgot where I was going with that point, but she felt entitled to mistreat him, abuse him, and even do very just such cruel things. And like I said, I still can't believe he would even listen to the things that she was telling him. I feel like in his mind he just wanted to scream and just get out, but he couldn't because he relied on her to do all of those things. So, um, he became so physically in pain. He actually ended up in a wheelchair. He couldn't find the strength to walk, so he had a wheelchair. I don't, maybe his family got it for him. Doesn't even matter where the wheelchair came from. He eventually was in a wheelchair, but not like anything was broken on him. He just didn't have the physical energy to walk because he was in such pain. Now, I'm going to say that to say this is a real thing, because once in my life when I was in very, very pain, my body would hurt. Like, I'd be driving to work and I'd be hurting, but there wasn't like a reason, like nothing. Nothing happened to me, but I was hurting emotionally, and it became physical. But it did not take me to wheelchair point. So I'm saying that, like, you can be in such a place in your life where your body actually physically aches. So that's where he was. He was eventually in a wheelchair. Um, he became less and less verbal. Like I said, he was already quiet. Did I say that already? He was already like the quiet type of guy, kind of withdrawn. But he was losing more and more words. He started losing his hair. He was graying a lot, and then he started. And this is, mind you, somebody who's 30, and not to say that a 30-year-old can't get gray hair, but I don't even want to make any. I think it was maybe a result of he. He looked like he was beginning to age because he had gray hair, and then he started losing his hair. A lot of his hair at the top. The last time I saw him, he was in a wheelchair, and he started wearing glasses. So his physical health was going down. Um, she even got not only the community to like be indifferent with him, even her kids were like they didn't like him anymore. And like I said, the guy, he was nice. He was a kind person, but just that person you just say hello to, and but not really have like extensive kind of conversations with him, because he couldn't carry a conversation like that. Um, and I feel in this moment I feel like I'm talking bad about him. I'm really not. He was just kind of stiff like that. Just a good person who he's actually a person that if you were like, well, can you watch my house for the day or something like that, like he would do it. Like it's not like I think like he was a bad person or he's not helpful or he can't think or like I feel like for a second it feels like I'm kind of bashing him, but he was just that kind of robotic, kind of stiff person. But you could trust them. You could trust them. Um, it's not like you would be like, oh, I'm not leaving my kid around him, because you could. He just wouldn't even see your kid as anything. He would not even interact with your kid. Like he was just like almost a non-emotional kind of person. um, so yeah, he was pretty tattered and withering away, losing a lot of weight. Just physically, when you looked at him, you could tell, oh, something is going on. But there was, she would say, there's no, she would say like there's no diagnosis on it, nothing's wrong with him, he just wants attention, this. Anyways, if you're watching this and you're having maybe not that situation, the one that I'm talking about, I believe that a lot of people wouldn't go through such hardships if they knew how to pray. People are praying every single day to be out of their situations. But once you learn how to pray and when to pray, what to say, and listen and watch out for God's answer to you, it brings you up so far in life. If you can just, some people are in their pain, right? And they're praying, and they're waiting for like God to like get them out of whatever the pain it is. Somebody could be morbidly obese, and they're like, God, like I need to lose some weight, like I want to be able to walk again and enjoy just a walk in the park, but I can't, I'm morbidly obese, and help me with this. And God will send them in some way. It doesn't matter, countless ways of how to begin to take care of their health better, and they won't do it because they're in a place they're stuck. I don't want to say laziness, that sounds so rude, but they're being stuck. They're in a place where they can't hear God's voice for whatever reasons. If her husband knew that, remember what I said in my other video, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. If he knew how to pray in the spirit, because we have the light spiritual realm, and then there's the dark world. If he knew how to pray and release those unclean spirits that would embody her, because she's upset and she's not fully submitted to God. So these unseen beings attach themselves to her, right? Not that he doesn't have any, and not that I don't have any. Excuse me. But when a person is not fully submitted in God, unseen, the spiritual realm, they're able to connect with that person and enter the person's body and take over and make them think, say, and do things that a person who is more having a relationship with God, that they wouldn't even be able to, it wouldn't even come to their mind, you know? So let me wrap this video up. If he knew to get up in the middle of the night, whether it be 1:30, after midnight, 2:50, 3 a.m., 3:30, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and get up and pray and talk to God about his situation, also asking God to bind these demons up that is, taking over his wife's body, and not allow these demons to get into her to make them rip him apart. Because like I said, he was a nice guy, just very stiff, just a stiff guy. He wasn't like anyways. I feel like he could have been in a I know he would have been in a different place. When you pray to God and you keep a relationship with him, it's what I say in so many of my videos. This will help alleviate a lot of the pain that we're in. Now, some people will be in pain and they're comfortable in their pain. Because I used to, this one lady used to talk to me, and she would complain all the time, but she was actually comfortable in her pain. Her pain, again, it was her marriage. She's relying on her husband too much. People feel like they should be relying on their spouse so much. Fill yourself with God, and you won't feel the need to have that person be there for every single thing. That is not normal. A person is not supposed to be there for you for every single thing, every single emotion, and every guidance that you're looking for. God is there for that. And if you need help from a person, God will guide you to whatever avenue that is. Like, for example, this wife I'm talking about, with her husband not being very helpful, has she had gotten up, pray, talk with God, he's going to send you that divine guidance to say, maybe he should see this counselor, take him to this doctor, maybe this is going, like, he will start guiding your steps. That's what you do. You don't harass the other person and just to the point where he's physically losing his health because he's so sad, And for the ladies listening to this, I'm not trying to say that ladies are this way. This is what she did. This was her reaction to him not being very helpful, and vice versa. This is just this one case, this one couple that I'm talking about. So yeah, if you are aware and remember, because a lot of times we say we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but do we really know what we're talking about? Do we know what that really is? Because you would never have a problem with the person, because you would know how to get rid of those demons. The same demons that when you go to sleep, when a person goes to sleep, sometimes they say, I had a dream that our clothing was walking around the house. The couch was walking, the TV was walking. Those are the unseen beings that get into things because they don't have a body. They are a spirit, they're a dark spirit. And they get into things and start walking around, and that's how you see those things in the dream realm. Maybe some people will see this also in like the earthly realm, not just the spiritual realm, like when you're sleeping and things like that. So with that being said, I'm like I said, I'm gonna wrap this up. Sometimes I hate making long videos, but sometimes I can get really talkative, and I will upload another story time after this. Um, take what I said into consideration. If you're in pain and you're praying already, learn how to wake up in the middle of the night and ask God to guide your steps. Ask Him to show you what to do. And it's not going to come with being evil or trying to get revenge on somebody. It's never going to come like that. God's going to handle that. He will handle that. But it will guide your steps for what to do next. With that being said, enjoy the rest of the day or the night, wherever you are. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Take care.